Professor Dr. Awadhesh Kumar Thakur, welcome to the Gorkha Spirit.
Oh, thank you.
So, how do you see the norms of politics from the past to present?
Very good question you have raised. Thank you. So it is your question is very vague because we have no sufficient time at all. You have not given me a longer time to discuss or to explain or to give the vague expoundations regarding the ancient politics and the present politics. So whenever we go through in short and brief, I would like to focus on the three rivers, you see, isn't it? So in the pre-primary stage, we can see that the three rivers are important regarding the development of politics, regarding the developments of civilization, culture and politics, isn't it? So first we would like to focus on Congo River, the African nations, because the real civilization in Europe, as in European and Western countries, that began from those countries which were situated on the brink of the Congo River. Thereafter, now come to the Nile River, means the Roman civilization and Roman culture. After them, thereafter, just we come to, that is the medieval phase. The first phase, Congo. The second one is Nile. And the third one is Thames, means the element of modernism. So now see, at first the political scenario was very cloudy and very foggy. But whenever the war for religion, the war for culture began, thereafter the thought and the vision of tricks, means the real use of the hidden wit and talent began, how to defeat on someone, how to get victory over the other community. So the division of labor and division of society began since that time. You see, and for your kind information, I would like to say that time, especially in Europe and the British colonies, we know very well, it is not unknown to the common one, that whenever we see the history of the world, we can see the golden times. If any country has been given, that is England, isn't it? So from politics and culture in West began from the churches. At first there was only Catholic, and thereafter, just as the civilization and culture began to develop, isn't it? Some forward people, then the forward who considered themselves that we are more forward than the others. So there came the sense of division in ism, means Christianity. So whenever that we go through the history of politics and history of civilization or history of diplomatics, isn't it? The church has played a vital role, especially in European countries. Our civilization or our culture began from Sindhu Ghati, we know very well. So from them, a part was separated, that was Puritan, isn't it? And thereafter they came, because we have no sufficient time to explain this all in detail, so I am giving you the concise thoughts and concise visions in concise. So thereafter Protestant. So the higher class of people, aristocratic class, isn't aristocratic people, they made themselves limited within the boundary of Protestantism. The middle class, that they were within the circle of Puritanism, and the bottom class is in Catholicism. You can say in other words that Catholicism is based on the old tradition, and thereafter, when the division of state and the division of labor developed according to the development or the rapid development of culture, civilization and human understanding and human thought, and how to thereafter whenever the patriarchate is started, patriarch means the main person of the area, isn't it? Thereafter the new concept of imperialism also began, and in those elements, in those atmospheres, on the name of imperialism, isn't it, the divine theory of the origin of a state just began. At first there was the kingship in most of the countries, isn't it? So that in imperialism, so during the imperialist doctrines in different countries, only the high class of society, isn't it, they were given especially preference, because comparatively they were more intellectual, they are more dynamic, they are more, I think, intelligent. So on the elements of intelligentsia and the political and diplomatic wit and thought which were deeply rooted into their inner vision, how to victimize the other people and how to get over the suffering class of people and how to be the main figure and the main ruler of this certain estate or the certain region of the territory. Thereafter, whenever the origin of a state began, thereafter there came also a lot of changes according to the development of civilization and thought, civilization and culture. The new changes were also broke out in the global society. But nowadays we see that because that time the materialistic thought were not given a special preference at all. That time based on intelligentsia. But nowadays, whenever we compare in this way, just we see that from prehistoric age or the pre-primary age, the more historic age and ancient age began, thereafter medieval age began, thereafter modern age began, thereafter we are living nowadays in the postmodern, and in postmodern age now we see that not even a single nation in the world you can show me that which are far from the element of some particular isms. Somewhere you see plutocracy is working in some countries, somewhere just a cryptocracy is working, somewhere only nominally democracy, because in our last interview I have already told you that there is no pure democracy at all, and whatever the definition of democracy is given by Abraham Lincoln, I am not in position to accept this, because I have already told you 100 parties are already waging the political war among themselves. But if they are the total voters are suppose 5 crore, but the one party get 1 crore, but the other party is less than 1 crore, the government, the frame structure of the government will be handed over to the 1 crore, because 1 crore voters have already casted their ballots in his favor. Then where are 4 crore people, isn't it? So these are the matters of discussion in detail. So whenever we come to the modern age, in modern age, casteocracy, isn't it? Casteocracy, because now see, czars in Russia, isn't it? Czars in Russia, white and black in American people, isn't it? Now see, Jews in Israel, isn't it? In Nepal we see, or in Nepal and India we see most of the seats, most of the technician seats, isn't it? They are already under reservation. If you belong to the scheduled caste, if your son and daughter has secured 40% marks, but you belong to scheduled caste, but if some students have just obtained more than 90% marks, the 90% marks, those students are not given any chance to upgrade their intellectual status, because they belong to the forward caste. Now the backward caste, now it's a scheduled caste, there is no backward, but scheduled caste, that to whom, which is, these isms and the differences, for this the politicians are responsible to take their votes a lot in their favor. If the students of scheduled caste are given only 40 or 45, they are given opportunity to be a doctor, to be an engineer, to be an expert technician, but those who are the 90% marks obtainer, and they are already collapsed. Then how can we expect for a better development or a rapid development of a nation if meritocracy is already rejected? If meritocracy is not taken seriously by the politicians to whom we can select on this post or to whom we can send in this department, if such types of knowledges are not given to those politicians because they are ignorant politicians and they know nothing at all about the politics or the situation or the culture or the civilization or the educational system or the cultural system of our country, then how can the liberty, prosperity, integrity of a nation can be upgraded? No, isn't it? Automatically, because if the I think less intellectuals, those who are in between yes or no, in between good and bad, if that type of students are given in opportunity to be the I think the doctors or engineers or the bankers or anything according to the constitution of a certain country, that country can never be developed. Never be developed. It is means for these all things, meritocracy is must. Whether you belong to any scheduled caste, but if you have obtained 100, I think 90% marks in 100, you should be given chance, isn't it? But if he or she is, because he belongs to a higher class, and if he or she obtains good marks, he is not given opportunity because there is a system of reservation. So first of all, democracy, reservation engulfs the norms of all the democracy and all the republican views. There is nothing at all. So based on evaluation on meritocracy is must. Now in Nepal we can see the cryptocrats are already ruling over the Nepalese society and Nepalese politics. Their faces are hidden, isn't it? And the present politicians in our country, just we say, they are only the puppet into the hands of those cryptocrats who are living in the air-conditioned bungalows. But what is happening to those people, those victimized people in Nepal, and who has also a problem of taking the food even twice or thrice in a week? It is a great problem for them.
Thank you, sir, for joining with us.